Welcome to Content with Character, the weekly podcast that'll give you the momentum you need to create content with more ease, clarity, and laughter. I'm your host, content copywriter Emily Aborn, and I'm all about unconventional marketing approaches. I believe in your big ideas, and I'm excited to help you share them in a way that's distinctly you. I don't recommend comparison. I don't think we should necessarily stay swimming around in it, but I don't think it's actually terrible when it happens. Comparison, what is it good for? Well, it's not absolutely nothing, it's a little something. And that something is where you and I are going to venture in this week's episode. Hi, welcome back to the Content with Character podcast. If we're dancing in sync and you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, then happy month of June. So last month, we spent a lot of time focusing on repurposing. The goal of repurposing was to help set us up for a smoother, easier, breezier summer. And we also dove into the world of customer service and a little bit of character. It was a little conglomeration. Now, the month of June tends to be really busy for a lot of people. May too, to some extent, but June seems to be when it all really starts to pick up, right? School's over, graduations are happening, wedding season really starts blooming, the beach calls, family functions, what else? Dance recitals, I don't know, lots of other stuff. In our family, we have at least 9 birthdays this month that we celebrate, and lots going on. It's a big one for a lot of people. So if you are a fellow podcaster, you probably already know this. But if you're not a podcaster, or perhaps you'd like a peek behind what you can expect this summer, peek behind the podcast curtain, if you will, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. In the summer months, podcasters tend to go through a little bit of a listener dip. It's normal and it's to be expected during June through August, and then again, usually November and December. I'm not that kind of listener personally. I'm an all year round, you get my ears kind of gal. But that is not the story for a lot of people, because when they're on the go, they're often with their families, or they're on vacation. So what a lot of podcasters do is to repurpose or re-air past episodes so that they also can get that much needed time off, that much needed vacation from generating new content and ideas. And it is a great it's a great resource, and it's tapped into often by a lot of podcasters I know. But guess what? You and I, we're not going to do that this summer. So whether you do stick with me all summer long and you listen all summer long and navigate the chaos with me alongside you in your earbuds, or you are catching up on these way down the road, we're going to stick together. And we're not only sticking together, we're getting into all the good stuff. Like when the cats are away, we're going to play, as the saying goes. I mean, I know it's all good stuff, but today we're starting with the deep, dark world of comparison. I'll share a recent experience that I had, what I did about it, and I want to also give you some actionable, tangible ways to help you overcome it yourself. Plus, some reminders I bet you need to hear as much as I did. Weirdly enough, summer is kind of also that season where I feel like comparison pops up for a lot of people in various ways. Maybe you go visit the Joneses and celebrate their kids' graduation, and it causes you to compare yourself to their financial situation. Maybe you see pictures of your friend vacationing somewhere else and you wish you were there, but you're busy working. Maybe all the business owners around you are taking the entire summer off because their spouse's income allows them to take a break from their business. Or maybe somebody just looks really good in a bathing suit photo they shared on Instagram. The list goes on and on of why we compare ourselves and who we compare ourselves to. I don't like comparison. I don't recommend it. I don't think that we should stay swimming around in it. But I also don't think that it's actually that terrible when it happens. I think it is good for something. It is good for a little something. And that something is where you and I are going to venture in this episode. So real quick, before we get into it, allow me to introduce myself, or in some cases, reintroduce myself if we've already met. I'm Emily Aborn. That's like acorn with a B. And I'm a content copywriter, which means I write website copy for small businesses, as well as blogs, brand messaging guides, and all the marketing materials that set you apart. aka no comparing needed. We really focus on highlighting what makes you, you. And you'll learn a lot about my personality as you listen, but some of my traits are I'm super duper organized. I'm silly, which also is it's more accurately a little dorky. I'm loquacious, which means I talk a lot. I'm genuine, hardworking, and I'm a disliker of most surprises. Anyway, so that's enough about me. That's just like some fun personality facts. You can learn more about me and connect with me on the socials, as the kids are saying, at emilyaborn.com. And you can also, in case you haven't heard the news yet, you can text and call me here at Content with Character. Check out the show notes for these 2 new shiny links. I put them right at the top. You can text me a message or leave me a voicemail. And depending on what it is, if it's nice, if it doesn't contain too many curse words, I'll read it and play it in a future episode. I'll give you a shout out or use it maybe as fodder for an episode if it's something you want me to cover. So I'll leave that to you. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm just experimenting with it right now. Are you ready to talk about comparing ourselves? Me too. Let's go. Let's get into it. I want to start with a backstory about where the idea for this episode came from. I mean, obviously, lots of us have been there with comparison. Often people refer to this as comparison syndrome. Personally, I just call it comparing myself because I've spent enough time in my life thinking that I've had every syndrome under the sun. I'm like a unsuccessfully recovering hypochondriac, if you will. So anyway, this isn't necessarily a syndrome for me. It's not entirely a novel story, but it is what happened to me. And it's not the first time it's happened, but it popped up pretty loud and in need of some serious addressing this time around. So, as many of you know, as I've shared before, I work with a lot of folks in the home trades industries. For those of you who need the clarification, that's like interior design, realtors, paint, building, construction, architecture, staging, professional organizing, like all of those kind of things. Well, recently, a woman I've known about for quite a while now, but we've never actually gotten to talk directly. We got together for a coffee chat. Now, this woman is a very well-known coach for members of the interior design industry, members in the home trades industry, right? Like my exact niche. And she has a very substantial following. So she knew a lot of people I knew because I've had some of her folks as clients, and I collaborate with a lot of the service providers that have her in common. So, however, despite having all of these people in common, I probably heard this at one time, but I forgot. I didn't know that she kind of allows you in your service providing industry to be a sponsor for her group. So she accepts sponsorships for her interior design group, like as in you pay a set amount of money, you get a few little perks and opportunities to share about yourself and to connect more with those in this industry, in this niche. So I was a little bit intrigued by this idea, and I started kind of poking around on her site and doing a little bit of research, and I knew that she had one more copywriter. I mean, she shared this with me. She had one more copywriter in there who was a very high-level sponsor. So I, of course, wanted to know more about this copywriter. I wanted to make sure we were different enough to not be competing with one another. I don't like competition personally. I believe we all serve who we're supposed to serve, and you can even be friends with your quote unquote competitors. In fact, you should make them your friends. I just met a copywriter the other day. Hi, Amanda, if you're listening. It was lovely. And even though we do the exact same things, we had a very collaborative and it was like instant camaraderie between us. So that's kind of what I mean. Like you can be friends with your quote unquote competitors. And realistically, at the end of the day, none of us are really competitors, right? We're all serving different people in different ways with our unique personalities. Regardless, I start researching this woman, this quote unquote competitor, the other sponsor. And oh my God, wow. Her brand is amazing. She has a framework. She's self-acclaimed a seasoned writer, and she's funny. She's very funny. She does great on social media and. There I went down the spiral. And I actually spent 2 days going down the spiral. Every chance I could, I was investigating her. I was listening to her episodes. I was just trying to find anything wrong with this person. So maybe I wouldn't like her, or I wouldn't look up to her, or I would find something I disagreed with. So I could say, well, at least I don't do XYZ, right? Or at least I'm not this. No, nothing. She was clean. I couldn't find anything. I loved her. Have you ever been there? Maybe. And it wasn't just a fact of admiring her and thinking she was cool and great. I started comparing myself to her. Have you ever been there? This was not my first time, but it felt like my first time. And realistically, it doesn't happen to me that often in the business world because I do have a lot of positive self-talk about, how we're different. And it does happen to me around personal things. So like physical things when people are very attractive or just not complete and utter awkward weirdo goofballs walking around in their skin like I am. I get to comparing in that way, but I don't often do it in the business world. So I voxed my friends and they told me, Emily, stop looking, stop reading, stop listening, unfollow, stop. Did I take their advice? No, I did not. That is the rebel in me. That's not what I will do, friends. Thank you very much for weighing in and your thoughts and opinions. At least not right now. I'm not going to take your advice. But I will tell you what I did do. So first, I let my brain and my heart just kind of do its thing. I actually did let myself read and learn and get to know more about this person and genuinely like and admire and be like, wow, this person is amazing. Then I shared with a few trusted people what I was actually feeling because it was important for me to get some of the emotions out. And then I started going through and just thinking on my own strengths and weaknesses. And we're going to do an episode about that soon. And just finding the lessons that I could glean here in this little experience. I think a lot of times in my life, I'm quick to try to jump to a happy thought or nope, not going to let myself go there, ignore, delete, cancel. And for me, what happens with that is it just comes back, roaring back later. Ignoring it does not work. I need to feel this through, work through it, and then, and only then, can I have a little bit more of a realistic picture, okay? Not so dismal. That's when I get to move into that happier place, that more peaceful state. So that's where this episode came from. And what I want to help you do, because chances are high that you're going to run down this comparison lane just like I did, or maybe it's a frequent habit that you have. But either way, I don't want you stuck in this, and I don't want to see you doing this to yourself and using it as some sort of tool or technique to beat yourself up. So we're going to talk about overcoming some of these feelings of comparison. And I kind of mapped out, after thinking about what happened, I kind of mapped out 6 sort of steps, if you will. These are in a particular order, but they don't need to be in a particular order. So it's probably going to look different for you and also your experience. But as I said at the beginning of the episode, I don't think it was the end of the world to be comparing myself. And I think I learned a lot from the experience. So I kind of want to share how you could do that as well if this is somewhere you bump into a lot or something that you struggle with. So step number 1 is awareness. First, in pretty much any situation that we're going through, we really have to see what is happening. We have to see, first of all, what we're doing. So recognizing when you are engaging in comparison. You have to catch yourself comparing. And then when you do, you can pause and actually acknowledge with awareness, without judgment. Don't shame yourself. Don't punish yourself. Don't berate yourself. Don't say stop, right? None of this negative self-talk. There I go again. This would stop happening if I was only. This is not helpful. Okay, so we're just saying, oh, hello, comparison. Hello, my friend. There you are. Hi, what brings you here this evening? I actually didn't see your name on the guest list, but apparently you've arrived. So the first step is just kind of acknowledge it, be aware of it, recognize when you're engaging in comparison, and take a pause. Step number 2 It's okay to feel this way. This is very human. This is a very human experience. So feel all of those feelings. Do what you got to do. In my case, I let myself go down the research rabbit hole on this lady just to see what I would see. I needed to feed that part of me that needed to get all of the information. And I think what I wanted in doing that was some sort of reassurance. But you know what? I didn't get the reassurance. I just got, I guess she actually is great. And you know what? I think that's a great way to come out. Like, that's a great way to feel. Oh, wow, she is great. I want to be lifting up other business owners and entrepreneurs. I want people that I can refer clients to who might not be a good fit for me. I want to like and maintain a collaborative spirit with my competitors. So let yourself feel it. Vent about it if you need with a friend. Journal on it, whatever that looks like for you. Shake out them sillies. Do a happy dance. Whatever you got to do. And then number 3, shift into all of the parts of your life and business that you're grateful for. By this, I mean that you love the clients that you work with, that you're so thankful you live in this house on many acres, that you have this dog or this spouse or this career that you built, your kids, whatever it is for you. Like, oh my gosh, like really revel in it. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Why would I ever want to be someone else or step into their shoes? Because that's the other side of the coin, whether this is a personal comparison or a business comparison. They have a different life than you. And chances are high that you wouldn't want all of the pieces of their life. I mean, frankly, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to step into somebody else's shoes. My shoes are incredible. I love my life. So you might also want to include in this like elements of your personality that you're really grateful for and that you really love and that you really appreciate and admire. You know, I'm real with people. I'm funny. I'm the one who always comes cheesecake in hand to family functions. I'm a great auntie. I'm a great mom. I'm relatable, down to earth, whatever it is. Be grateful deep down inside. Be grateful for who you are, the real you, and list those out. Like, really spend some time, like, wow, reveling in just how happy you are about your own life. And then number 4, step 4, focus on your journey. Okay. We're going to celebrate where you are in your journey. Doesn't matter when you started. Doesn't matter where in your journey you are. We're going to reflect on everything that you've done this far. Your progress, your goals, your achievement, your growth, no matter how small. I want you to celebrate it. Maybe you're making more money this year than last. Celebrate that. Are you a lot kinder than you were 10 years ago? Are you healthier? Celebrate it. Have you let go of something or someone that is holding you back? Have you become better at setting boundaries? Like, celebrate where you are in your journey. Every single little micro step, no matter how small. And then step 5, this is fun, right? This is where we kind of turn down that excitement a little bit. We did our celebrating, we did our gratitude, and we unpacked the lessons. We want to reflect on what we learned from this. In my case, I saw some areas that I actually want to work on in my own career. Some things I'm like, oh, actually, I might want to start learning more about that. I might want to get more curious about that. Have I ever considered trying that? I had to ask myself this question as well. Do I want to go all in on a niche like home trades? Or do I love some of the other people I work with, the coaches, the health professionals? Do I want to keep my work open for people in other industries? And in case you're wondering, I chose the latter because I do love working and supporting so many different types of small businesses. So for me, going all in on a niche like my competitor does isn't for me right now. What are the other lessons in your little comparison adventure? It actually seriously does tell you a lot about what is important to you. It can help you see more clearly, oh, you know what? This is actually where I want to go. This is actually something that's really, really important to me, or where I might need to motivate myself a little more, right? To take a new action. And then there's also like direct learning from these people, right? So maybe there's something they do in their business and it's solving a problem or a challenge that you just haven't really been able to quite figure out yourself. In my opinion, comparing is not entirely despairing. It doesn't need to just be compare and despair. It's not just for nothing. It's a very normal emotional response, and it can give you a lot of information about what you value and the direction that you're headed. You can also take stock of what you're actually doing really well, what you're maybe doing better, or where you're strong, and also what you might need to work on. Last step is take an action. Or not. You can also just carry on. You might want to do what my friend suggested immediately and unfollow, unsubscribe, remove it from your world. Your action might be to, finally update that bio, which you've been telling yourself you're going to do for months and months and months and months, and still haven't, because you still haven't put on that piece of your job description that you're comparing yourself to. Or you can hire a website copywriter, someone like me, to help you identify what sets you apart. And then we can really clearly put that into action on your website. So step number 6 is take an action or not, and then carry on with your own life, with your own work, with serving clients in the way that only you can. Bonus step, you can go a layer deeper if you're into this sort of thing and really get to the bottom and root of where it's coming from. I am no coach. I am no emotional guide. So I would definitely recommend you chat with somebody who is, chat with a professional if this isn't the kind of thing you can do on your own. But just using myself as an example, I figured this out like a week after it happened because of something else that happened with my husband. So in my own comparison journey, I was rewound back into time with not having gone to school until I was in high school and being really, if I'm honest, I was not that bright because I was very, very far behind. So it's been a constant fear for me to be unintelligent and to be not smart. And I've compared myself to people all my life who were smarter than me. And then, of course, bonus points if they also had the looks to go with the brains. So that was something I had to really sit with and process deep down inside. Like this for me went way back to just not just this situation, right? And so that's the other kind of thing you can reveal along this journey. And then you can actually take steps forward to heal that. You can heal that part of you. So sorry, I told you we were getting into deep stuff this summer. You've been warned. All right, so let's just shift gears into wrapping it up with 3 kind of positives of comparison. And again, apart from that personal growth and deeper understanding of yourself and getting a better understanding of your fears and what they're rooted in, which I do think is huge. I do think that is huge. When we compare, it can also do a few other things for us. And I'm not saying it always does. I'm saying it can. But it can motivate us to strive more. In school, this is kind of what initially drove me. I knew that I wanted to be as smart as Beth. I wanted to be as smart as William. I wanted to score as well on tests as Ryan. So I strove to learn and do my best and work really hard to achieve my goals, one foot in front of the other. And I'm not saying that this is the best form of motivation or the ideal source of it, but it did spark that in me. It motivated me to strive. And that turned into kind of starting up this inner motor, this inner drive, this inner motivation that now is coming from a really, really good place. Once I got a taste of the knowledge, a taste of the good stuff, I couldn't stop myself. So that's number 1, is that it can motivate you to take action or to strive. And then the other positive is the learning opportunity. And as I said, it really gives you a chance to learn about yourself, what others are doing, what others in your industry are doing, where they're successful, where they're not, where you're successful, where you're not. It just gives you a lot of helpful information. And lastly, I think that it helps you to really be honest with yourself and gauge and assess your progress. I don't think we should be basing our progress on what someone else is doing. What this does is allows us to pull away and say, no, let me compare myself on my journey to myself on my journey and celebrate my progress in relationship to me. Right? So does that make sense? I just think that we often miss that opportunity, or we don't give ourselves enough opportunity to do that. And I really do think that when we accurately gauge and assess our progress, we can build a lot more confidence in ourselves than we have. Again, I'm not suggesting that comparison is a good thing. I am suggesting that when it happens, maybe we don't just shrug it off or try to stuff it down or positive our way through it or go through it. Maybe we pull out the lessons and the truths and the glimmers that it offers. Okay, and lastly, because I don't think it's entirely productive to be trapped in the comparison game for longer than one needs to be, so I thought to wrap us up, it would be helpful to just share some ideas on how to turn down the noise of comparison in the first place. Maybe you already have some of these ideas and you've thought of more, and you're always welcome to share those with me, so send them my way if I'm missing one or you found something that is really, really helpful for you. My first one is just to limit social media use or curate your feed so that it is people who uplift you and inspire you versus people who trigger your comparison all the time. I've definitely had to unfollow people who I'm like, oh my God, every time I see this person, I'm thinking bad things about myself. Unfollow. Number 2, be kind to yourself. Treat yourself with compassion. Be your own best friend and have your own back. That will help you through a lot of this experience, right? Like positive friendship with yourself. Number 3, set realistic goals and expectations for yourself. Oh my gosh. Are you expecting yourself to be somewhere that you're not yet, aka 10 years ahead of where you are, like I was doing? Number 4, recognize that people are putting their best foot forward on social media. They are showing you their best side, right? All the highlights, the highlight reel, as they say. That's coming through on their social media. That's coming through on their website. Why would they ever share the deep, dark secrets or the parts of themselves that they're ashamed of? So realize that, like, these people struggle just like you do. Realize that and have more realistic expectations rooted in that knowledge. Number 5 is focus on your own journey, your own personal growth, your own road. Like, commit to yourself, set your own pace and be like, you know what? This is my pace and I'm going at it with this pace. And you can do that confidently. Number 6, I would just definitely encourage us all, no matter what the situation is, to have people we can talk to, friends, family, a coach, a therapist. It really does help lighten the burden of these feelings. And overall, it just helps to provide you with that outside perspective, the things that you don't think of on your own. And then lastly, celebrate others instead of feeling envious or threatened by them. Remark in their brilliance and what they're creating. Their success does not mean you are less worthy. Their being awesome doesn't mean you are less awesome or that you have less potential or you're trash. It doesn't actually mean anything about you if somebody else is great. We are swimming in a big, big pond, and there is more than enough for all of us. There is abundance to go around. Trust me, as a podcaster, there are lots and lots and lots of podcasters. And the only thing I can do is to show up and just keep being the podcaster that I am and building the podcast that I'm building. There's plenty to go around. Your voice needs to be heard, and you're here to work with and impact the individuals that only you can. So I'm going to leave you with 2 final thoughts. One is, if you do need help pulling out the unique brilliance that is you, either for your website copy, throughout your brand messaging, or even just the bios you have online, that is something I love helping you with. This is an area I know I shine in. I'm confident that I shine in this way. So I help you shine in who you are. So please always know I'm here for you, and I'd love to help you with that. My links, as I said, are always in the show notes. Secondly, if you're not able to get yourself out of the loop of constant comparison, or it's getting really unhealthy for you and you can't move past it or through it, if you constantly feel like a failure, especially around others' achievements, and maybe it's hard to even acknowledge or congratulate others as a result, I want to encourage you to seek out somebody you can trust, somebody who can help you, who can talk you through this far more than I can in one episode of a podcast. I am a copywriter, okay? I am not a therapist or a coach, and I'm just simply sharing away my sharing my own takeaways and what I found to be helpful, but I definitely want to reiterate that keeping yourself in those dark places, that is not what I want for you. And it is also not what anybody else in your life wants for you. They just want you to be you and show up as your wonderful self and really, really admire and appreciate that. So please take care of yourself. Ask for help and support if you need it. And next week, don't worry, we're going to lighten up just a little bit. I mean, don't get too excited. It's not going to be super light, but we're going to talk about time and establishing boundaries with our time that really, really work for us and also support the lives that we are living and what matters most. So I will chat with you then. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Content with Character. If you loved the episode, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast, rate, review, and share it with someone else you know it could help. For more content and visibility tips, visit my blog at emilyaborn.com and be sure to connect with me on Instagram at emilyaborn. I'd love to hear how this inspired you to take action.